Hey, it's Terry Gorry, and this is the Irish Law and Small Business podcast. In this video, I want to talk about the challenge of a young solicitor who was dismissed from her job with Arthur Cox LLP. She's brought judicial review proceedings about the way that her case was handled at the Workplace Relations Commission. My name is Terry Gorry. I'm a solicitor. I make videos about Irish law, small business, entrepreneurship. Ammi Burke is a solicitor, qualified solicitor from Castlebar, County Mayo. She's from a well-known Mayo or Castlebar family of Burkes, and she was dismissed from her job with Arthur Cox LLP in November 2019. She then brought a claim, as you do, to the Workplace Relations Commission for unfair dismissal. The adjudication officer, however, Kevin Bainham, threw out the complaint because he had great difficulty conducting a hearing. Miss Burke, Ammi Burke, represented herself. She's a lay litigant, which she's perfectly entitled to do, but at the hearing in the WRC, she had her mother present, and her mother, the adjudication officer, found to be disruptive, very disruptive, and repeatedly disrupted, according to the adjudication officer, the proceeding. And the hearing itself was suspended on 6 occasions, with the adjudication officer issuing warnings on 6 occasions, and eventually he gave up and basically threw out the case for unfair dismissal. Miss Burke has now gone to the High Court, and she's asking the High Court to find, by way of judicial review proceedings, certain things. She's asking the High Court to find that, firstly, the decision of the adjudication officer in her case was flawed and should be set aside. She's asking the High Court to find that the ruling of the adjudication officer that the adjudication of an unfair dismissal claim is adversarial is incorrect. Instead, it's inquisitorial. She's asking the High Court to find that the failure of the adjudication officer to summons 2 witnesses from Arthur Cox LLP was a wrong decision. Miss Burke wanted the 2 witnesses summoned because she felt they were useful and helpful to her case. She wants the High Court to hold as well that the failure of the officer to have certain emails produced before the hearing was wrong, as the emails were important to the claim of Miss Burke. And she's also asking the High Court to find that the way that the officer brought an end to her dismissal claim, her unfair dismissal claim, was unlawful. As I say, Miss Burke clashed then when she went to, or rather her mother had clashed repeatedly with the adjudication officer at the hearing in question, and he eventually threw in the towel after something like a 5-hour delay. It was 6 suspensions, 6 warnings. The other day, though, when Miss Burke was before the High Court, she came before Miss Justice Marguerite Bulger, who would be very expert, and is a senior counsel and is expert in the whole area of employment law, and is a co-author, I understand, of one of the seminal texts about discrimination law in Ireland. But she clashed. Miss Burke clashed with the judge in the application for leave for judicial review proceedings because Miss Justice Bulger held that, or commented that, the case, Miss Burke's case, did not have any public interest element. Even though she granted her leave to go ahead with judicial review proceedings, she did state that she didn't see any public interest element to it. Miss Burke took exception to this and repeatedly, according to the Irish Independent, spoke over the judge and asked her, or demanded that she withdraw the statement. The judge did not withdraw the statement. She says, "I've made my decision," and she said, "Now, Miss Burke, stop interrupting me." So, solicitor and High Court judge clash over unfair dismissal case. The judge also said clearly exasperated Miss Justice Bulger said, "Miss Burke, you're a qualified solicitor. You know it is not appropriate to repeatedly ask a judge the questions you're asking after a decision has been made and reasons have been given." So it will be interesting. The judge didn't back down. Miss Burke, as I say, repeatedly talked over her, according to the reports in the newspapers, Irish Independent, Irish Times, and eventually then it was a virtual hearing. The judge simply logged off, and that was the end of it. But she did grant leave for the judicial review proceedings. The case itself, when it comes on for full hearing in the High Court, will be interesting, especially given the previous conduct of the case at the WRC and the conduct of the High Court application for judicial review, for leave to bring the judicial review proceedings. It will be interesting. It will be entertaining, to put it mildly. Miss Burke is basically claiming that the WRC has made a mistake and have made decisions that were lacking in fair procedures, lacking in natural justice, were wrong-headed, wrongful, unlawful, and so on. So, bottom line is, it will be interesting. Arthur Cox LLP is only a notice party in the High Court Judicial Review case, because the High Court Judicial Review proceedings are being brought against the Adjudication Officer Kevin Bainham and the Workplace Relations Commission. So, as I say, it will be interesting, and if you have an interest in law, and if you have an interest especially in employment law, it will be interesting. My view, for what it's worth, is that she may well be successful in getting the High Court to send her case back to the WRC for another bite at the cherry, as it were, or for a hearing. I'm not sure whether that will happen or not. Obviously, I don't know. I'm only speculating, but that would be my opinion. But it will be interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see what the High Court has as well to say about the fact of these hearings being either inquisitorial or adversarial, because the adjudicator said they were adversarial, or at least that unfair dismissal case is adversarial, whereas Miss Burke is saying they're supposed to be inquisitorial. And if that's the case, then she probably has a stronger argument that the adjudication officer should have taken steps to get the emails that she was requesting and get the other two witnesses in that she was requesting. But look, that's going to be dealt with in due course by the High Court. As I say, it will be interesting. If you find this interesting, or useful, this video rather, I'd appreciate if you gave it the thumbs up down below, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.